So you stream it. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go stream it. And so what that is taking the place of is that first face-to-face visit, right? We're not getting in a car together. We're not coming to the office. What I'm doing is I am treating that like an appointment. And I'll give you an example. This last weekend, not this one, the weekend before, got a lead off of one of my listings to such. And, you know, he had a lot of questions. Engineer, I said, hey, look, why don't we schedule a virtual tour? That virtual tour with an occupied home looks a little bit different than a vacant. So
Yeah.
what that virtual tour with the occupied home was, Mr. and Mrs. Sellers got on the phone with us and we Zoomed it, right? So seller,
Yep.
the buyer, me, the buyer, the seller were all on the phone. The buyer was driving the camera. If that helps paint a visual picture. So the buyer's driving the camera. Hey, let's see those closets. I can't tell which way the house faces. Can you show me what it's like? You know, where's the sun set? How much storage do you have? And what that did was it gave enough information where the seller, the buyer was interested enough where he drove in from Atlanta, and I took that one pending this weekend at over 600,000.
Cool.
So
okay.
So
y'all stream. Yeah, well, it's not a virtual tour. You stream a showing is what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay. So you're not really doing any virtual tours where it's like they can see like a 3D visual or panorama of a room. That's what I was asking was because I know a lot of people are trying to do like virtual tour because it's easier for someone to go and do a virtual tour of a showing. And it helps with your listings right now when people feel uncomfortable because of hashtag Corona. So,
well, yeah, it's not a perfect science, but I have a Matterport. As a matter of fact, it came into it got in on this weekend, and I'm gonna learn it. And
Matterport.
Matterport, yeah. So I'm gonna learn that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking into right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna teach myself that one. I teach myself pretty much everything. But
that's why you do it, man. When you show, you gotta learn it.
Hey Trey, I think this is Deb here. I think also making it specific, seeing each listing as an individual, I know has been really helpful for us in this pivot. Whereas before, we basically did the same things for every listing.
Right.
Maybe for our luxury listings, they were ramped up, but we're now saying, okay, what exactly is this specific listing going to need to showcase it in its best possible light? So we are doing some virtual tours, and they are official like videos of the property, especially in our videos. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're actual videos. We went out. We had a videographer go out and do them. We found that for some of our higher end listings, that was really necessary right now, as well as any of our listings that had people more at risk, because we just weren't getting the traction with the virtual showings. I mean, excuse me, with just the seller streaming the video or things like that. So I totally agree with everything that Tim says. And I know he does this as well, just seeing every listing as an individual right now for what that listing needs.
Yeah, you might have a hot house in a hot neighborhood and you barely need professional pictures. And then you'll have another house, you need a virtual tour. No, I agree 100% with both of you guys. I was just curious if he was using anything, because I was looking into Matterport, because it literally feels like you're walking through the house and you have to have a 3D camera for it to be most effective. And I just didn't know if he was using anything. So, no, that helps. Yeah. I have streamed a showing for my listing with an agent and her buyer. So, no, I've done both. So that's what I thought I'd ask.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Thank you, Trey, for the question. So now that everybody's here, let's just get started. I'll take a moment here and introduce our two hosts. And I'll start with Tim. So Tim, if you just tell us who you are. We've got probably between Facebook Live and Zoom, we're probably a couple hundred people, maybe even 300 of the 967 people in the Gulf South Territory. And we probably have about a third of them on here. And most everyone knows who you are, Tim, but if you just tell us who you are real quick, and then I'll introduce our other host, who I'm super proud of, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Awesome. Tim Hauk. I'm out of Baton Rouge Market Center. I'm an investor in another Keller Williams office. Been in the business for 14 years. Last year, we sold 214 homes for just tapping on the door of 50 million. I've got 12 people on my team, amazing admin team, amazing sales team. You know, our goal prior to the shift was 323 units. We still intend on hitting that. So I'm looking for answers like everyone else is trying to figure out how to keep everything moving forward. So thanks for having me.
So Tim, if they want to send you a referral, how do they find you?
The best way is my email is admin@timhauk.com. My email, my website is timhauk.com or Red Stick Sold.
Red Sticks, very good. So
yeah,
he's the guy in Baton Rouge.
So we last year, and I know my numbers like the back of my hand. We did we're a sphere-based, referral-based team. Agent referrals was the second highest source of my business last year. So we wholeheartedly take care of referrals. So we'd appreciate it.
Very good. Okay, Deborah, if you would tell us who you are, if y'all not sure who Deborah is, if you look behind her, the picture in the back of her there, she snuck a picture of me in there. I don't know, so if you can get the relationship. And so Deborah has an unbelievable team and has not been in business as long as Tim, but Deborah, you tell us how many units you do and a little bit about your world and tell us, I don't know, give us the 4-on-1 on you.
Yes, thank you for asking me to be a part of this today. And it's always a privilege and an honor anytime I get to do something with this group and especially with Tim. So I really respect his business and look up to him a lot. So the Red Star team is in its 6th year of business. Last year, we were right behind Tim. So we did 212 units. So I really have to give Tim those kudos for those 2 extra units. Right, same thing as Tim right there at a little bit, right around 40 million, about 42 million last year. Our goal this year is 240 units. We've really been honored over the last several years to be the #1 team in the Lafayette Market Center, the #1 listing count in the Lafayette Market Center as well. And we're really focused on listings. We're a listing heavy team. It's what we do. We really made a shift to that about probably almost 18 months ago now, is how to grow our listing side of the business, and some really talented listing agents on the team with me. So our goal this year is 240 units. We're not backing off our goal. I'm very similar to Tim in the fact that we understand, and how we're coaching the Red Star team is top agents pivot, and the market doesn't dictate our success, and it's our daily activity. So we're not coming off our goal. That's 240 units, and looking forward to accomplishing that. Doing things a little bit different now, but still taking listings and still writing business. So thanks for having me here today.
So I think that's really the question. And I'm just going to let you guys, I talked with y'all earlier this morning, y'all got into a conversation and I could have hung up and y'all would have riffed together for a long time. So I guess the first question is, where do you get the listings? I know both of y'all are doing it, looks like a listing almost every other day since this thing started, and maybe more than that. So where do you get the listings? How do you do it safe? What are you working hard on, and what are you doubling down on? What matters? I know, Tim, you want to share your view of social distancing. So why don't you guys just, I know y'all are good friends and y'all talk among yourselves. So maybe the first 15, 20 minutes of this, you guys, talk like you're talking to each other and include us in the conversation. And then the second half of this hour call, we'll open it up to questions. And, listen, the question thing is important for every one of us on this call. Every time you ask a question, you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping the other people on the call. So let's just start off. Deborah, Tim, what did you see that's working, and what are you doubling down on?
All right, Tim, you ready?
Let's go.
So Tim and I do talk a lot. So Tim, I know what we're doubling down on right now is we're taking each one of our spheres of business, as you are, our little, all our different lines of where our business come from, and really evaluating them and going, okay, where is our biggest return on investment, and what do we need to do to take something that we're already doing well and just do it better? So, you know, you and I do a lot of referrals back and forth, and I know we're both an agent to agent heavy, referral heavy business. So that's a huge part of what we're doing right now is reaching out to other agents and saying, hey, how can I help? How are you? How's your family? How's your mom and them? How's the cat, the dog, the kids? And oh, by the way, who's moving into town? Are you finding the same thing with y'all's business? I know y'all are big agent to agent as well.
We are like anything else, you know, through the last shift I built my business in 2008, 9, and 10, really.
You have your journals from our top 10 calls. Show everybody your journals. This is so impressive to me. Tim's a pro and has been in the business for a long time. So
that's my shift year journals.
So he built his business the last time there was a shift.
So I was going through all my notes and all my struggles as in those years I was a new agent and I didn't know, from Shinola. So it was, a lot of fumbling forward, and, it was interesting because, and JD started it off with, what are you doubling down on? And, in a talk with my coach this morning, that's what we talked about. It is essentially having to double down. I was talking to 35 people a day, but y'all, this shift feels different than the last one. The last one felt much worse. And as crazy as it is, when the market is literally tanking in 2008 and 9, and lending was so hard, became so hard, and loans are changed. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. This is different. It's challenging, yet there feels like it will have some sort of end. No doubt it'll have some impact on our business, but I was going back through my notes, and maybe that's where my sense of calm is from all this. I remember how hard I worked. I remember the things that I had to do. I remember sitting at kitchen tables telling people, to sell your home, you're going to need to write a check. You're going to need to write a check, and you're going to need to write a check, and you're going to need to write a check. And I had to go on so many appointments to find someone who didn't have to write a check.
Right.
Or go, wait for that person to come to the resignation that they had to write a check, and it was, exactly. And sometimes that took time, and, just being a steward of, and I always say this, being a steward of good advice is always the right thing to do to grow the business. So it's and I just, again, when it comes down to, if my goal was 20 conversations a day, in the shift, it was like 33 to 35. And that's reality.
It is reality. And it's very similar to what I was talking to my coach about. Is one of the questions that I'm asking myself every morning, and we talked about this a little bit, Tim, on our top 10 mastermind, is at the end of all this, because I agree with you too, although I wasn't in the business for the last shift, I do think this is going to have an end. And when it ends, I think there's going to be an explosion of pent up, all of it in the market. And so I don't think it's going to affect us like the other one did, to the degree or the extreme. But one of the things I'm asking myself is, okay, when all this is over and I look back at this time that I have, am I going to be able to look back and say, I did everything that I could with the skills that I have, with the time that I have, with the set of circumstances I have to move my business forward? Or am I going to look back and say, man, why didn't I just talk to 5 more people a day? And that's a question I'm asking myself every day now, because we're in the middle. I think we're in the middle of it, right? We're not at the beginning and we're not at the end. So we're in the middle. We can't see the beginning anymore. We don't know when it's going to end. And that's really changing it's helping me know exactly what to focus on. It's also changing my mindset, because I don't want to 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, say, if I just would have talked to 10 more people a day, we would have hit our goal, or we would have the listing count, or whatever it is, or my seller would have sold their house if I just would have done one extra thing to help them sell during this time. So I love that you're saying that. And I feel the same way.
And it's so relevant, because if you have this perfect, say, this person's been planning let's just take a client, and everybody's got this client, or, they've been planning to list it in the spring. They were ready to go. They wanted to sell. They didn't need to sell, right? They wanted to. Right. They're like, hey, so their yard's looking good. They're ready to go. they may be on the fence about, so that A seller just moved to a B or C seller, depending on. And so what happens with a lot of real estate agents is we go, oh, there's, they're not as motivated, and we quit communicating with them.
Mm-hmm.
Your job right now is, if you've got an A seller who turned to a B or C seller, is to be the best source of information for them. I will give you an example. Client been getting ready for 6 months. 6 months of been getting this client ready.
Wow.
Listen, 6 months of conversation, 6 months of going over there, checking the house, all that. My advice to them right now is, because they were a want to sell. They don't even know where they're going. They don't know anything. It was and I was like, well, what if I sell your house in 30 days? And they're like, well, we can't move. And I was like, we don't list. We don't list. And so I can't tell you how much appreciation came out of that. That was on Thursday before the Easter weekend. Yesterday I got an email. He's like, hey, we heeded what your advice and realizing that we didn't have a plan. We just put a home under contract in North Carolina, put our house on the market. House was photo ready. Pictures are being taken today. We're going live. So as people's lives change, and there's those situations where it was an A to a B or C, and now we went back to an A just in the blink of a hat. But he's also very informed of what's going on in the market and is ready to take all the risks. So,
and I also think that if it would have gone the other way, let's say that they would have said, hey, we heeded you. We don't really know where we're going. We're literally going to sit tight for 90 days.
Right.
I think, which by the way, we have those clients too, because we are giving them that information, and for some, we just did the same thing. For one of our clients, it's not the right time to sell. They will literally take a bath right now.
Really?
And being able to coach them through that, put ourselves second, our commission, our need to sell houses, all those things second, and invest in our clients in the long term. Because in that scenario, you would have been filling your pipeline. So whether they list with you now or list with you in 90 days, how much more do they respect you, trust you, like you, and will recommend you because you put their needs ahead of your own. We talk about that a lot in real estate. We really have an opportunity even more to practice what we preach in this area.
Yeah. And what you just said really brings up a topic. And so I don't know what range of business everybody is on the call, but JD touched on something. So, and Deborah, what you're talking about is the people who want to buy or sell, we have to assess motivation by ready, willing, and able.
Correct.
And when we look through the shift tactics, finding the motivated, I think it's tactic 4. That is where the rubber meets the road. Like, how do you do it? And so, it's asking really good questions, digging into motivation, and helping people sometimes self-explore. But what won't happen, this is a contact sport. Real estate is a contact sport. If you're not making, and let me share some numbers with you. And Deborah, we talk about this all the time. Right. So from all of last year, all of 200 and, all the deals that we've done, I track how many phone conversations it takes to get an appointment from an appointment and all that other stuff.
Right.
Here's a crazy thing that most people don't understand. And I want everybody to remember this number because it's very important. So for every 100 phone conversations that we had or face-to-face, we went on 3.5% was our conversion rate. So that means for every 100 conversations, there's 3.5 appointments being set. I've been tracking that number since 2015, and my team's number has always been the average. A new real estate agent, their average is probably around 2%, and a decent agent is at around 2.5%. 3.5% comes through years of just scripting and inbound business, and so those conversions are going to be inflated a little bit. And when we talk about that, it's like, oh, you got to make 100 phone calls to go on 2 appointments. That is the reality of it. Real estate agents, we talk it, yet we don't do it. And then we circling back looking for an answer why we didn't get it.
Right. I love that you share that number with us, because I think it's easy I can't tell you the conversations people have with me, and they're like, oh my gosh, you've been doing this for a while, or oh my gosh, you have a team, or oh my gosh, you know everybody, or oh, whatever their reason, it comes easy to you. And when I coach people and talk to people, I say this. First of all, if you knew how many appointments I still go on that I don't get, you would be surprised. I just happen to go on a lot of appointments. If you would know how many people we talk to that we don't get an appointment with, you would be surprised. We just are not afraid to talk to more people. And that doesn't change from day 1 to day 20, year 20 in the business. I mean, Tim, at the end of the day, what I hear you saying is your business is coming down to how many people are you willing to talk to?
It comes down to how many people you're willing to talk to.
And there's no secret to that.
The difference
There's
between
no
my
secret.
top agents and and like our, newer agents is only the amount of activity. I can tell you, I still make the second amount of contacts on our team month after month. In addition to all the other things that I'm doing with property management and team and
all the things, running the whole team. Right.
I am still, every time I jump in the car, I'm on the phone, checking, talking to people, calling, I think, so if we want to talk about, where to get listings, I think we just covered a good part of the activity, what you have to do. So Deborah, where is the biggest source of your listings?
So historically, the biggest source of our listings are Sphere and repeat clients, agent to agents. Those are our top 3. Our number 4 now is social media. And then we follow up with, we drop off drastically, and then we go to expireds, FSBOs, inbound calls, things like that, but a big, huge drop off. But I will tell you right now, we are expireds, FSBOs are jumping way up because we are having to talk to more people. So our sphere is only so big. And if we're having to double the amount of people we talk to get the same business, that means we're incorporating a lot more for sale by owners and expireds. But that's historically where ours has come from, and we're doubling down on things for those people.
Mine as well. I'll share something on this, and I probably am going to regret sharing since it's being recorded.
Think before you speak. Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, you got it.
I'm okay being transparent. I have never called a for sale by owner or an expired listing.
I knew that's what you were going to say, and I love it. I knew that's what you were going to say. And how many people of I love it. The truth of the matter is those of us that know you know that, and your team already knows it. So, okay, so I'm going to be super transparent also and say that I stopped calling for sale by owners in my second year because I didn't like them. And it was so hard for me. And while I'm starting to call them now because we need to, it is such a struggle for me. So anybody who thinks that, and listen, I know all the scripts, I can script and role play right now with you, Tim, and you and I could kill it, right? And it makes me just want to just vomit. There's people on this call though that love for sale by owners. I'm looking at Logan Bowers right here, who's just smiling real big. So, he is killing it on the for sale by owner game and loves that. So I appreciate your transparency, Tim, and I'm right there with you.
For clarity, Deb, I don't love it. I love commission checks.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let's be real and transparent. You don't love it. You just love the results that it brings. Yeah.
But I did have 3 appointments last week, all FSBO. So
there you go. And Logan, you're really good at it, and you've developed a niche there. Tim and I built our business on Sphere, agent to agent referrals, and those, and now past clients. We've been in the business long enough that our past clients are a huge part of our business.
Yeah. You want to communicate the message that you are an expert. And I think that people have this fear of overcalling, or I don't know what to say. Or here's the thing. If they know how hard it was my message from 2008 until probably till I had kids. I always wanted people to know how hard I worked, right? I was like, nobody's going to outwork me. Not going to happen. Like, if I need to get up at, 4:42 to start banging out phones, that's what I'll do. Like,
right,
yeah. And so, and I did, and but it's always you want to communicate, but people just are afraid to communicate. But people love talking about real estate. And you know how I know that? Zillow views tell me, people love looking at real estate. They love talking about real estate. They are generally curious about real estate. What they don't like is the sales approach at all turns. So my I think where I have found my niche was bring value, don't sell until you've got a triggered switch, right? So what are some of those triggers? And so, I mean, Deborah, you know as well as I do, there's certain things, there's certain questions people ask when they're starting to get into that mode. And like when you listen for it and hear it, then you know when to shift into sell mode. Outside of that, it's in consult mode. And right now during this whole thing, I think it's more important that we're really in consulting mode until someone raises their hand. Now, we're obviously want to find buyers and sellers, and I can tell you with certainty, if you talk to enough people, they will appear. So I don't know
I think we have to be a mixture of both. We have to feed our families,
Oh,
right? We
yeah.
have to have transactions during this time to feed our families. And what we all get the opportunity to do right now, I think at a really high level, is we get to, future pace our business by people seeing us as the expert, and by us being there for people, and by us just showing genuine care and compassion. So we talk about those things a lot. Now is the time to double down on actually practicing that. And for those of you that, people associate Tim and I with real estate. We've been in the business long enough that people will come up to us, JD and I ran into somebody at the grocery store, and I just started talking to him about our new luxury listing that we have in River Ranch. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know all about it. I saw it on your social media. It's fantastic. I love the elevator." I didn't even realize he followed me on social media. So we've been in the business long enough that people associate us with real estate. But what happens if you're newer to the business? And so you have a great opportunity right now to double that, to really speed that gap up between you being newer in the business and people associating you with real estate. What I would challenge you, and Tim, let me know if you see it the same way, is what are you putting out on social media right now? What's your content that you're putting out? Are you talking about real estate? Are you spreading positivity? Are you spreading, hey, I'm coming from contribution. I can be consultative in nature right now. Would you agree with that, Tim, that we really have that? New agents agents that are 3 years or less in the business really have an opportunity to shorten that window that it takes for people to remember that you're in real estate.
No, absolutely. I think positivity, and also, I think it's important that people also see that things are still moving.
Yes.
And that's important because we can get caught up in the media, we can get caught up in stuff. And so I remember during the shift, and I have it in my notebooks, actually, it said, "I do not participate in the recession." I am not participating in this one either. And what that means is, okay, so I think in the most amount of homes that's been sold, and we sell annually, like even great markets, like 5.5 million homes in the United States. And in the worst years, it was like 4.2 million, 4.4, so, I don't know, somewhere in there. And so when you think of it, look at it from that perspective, brand new agents, is important to know this, to understand that even in bad markets, houses are moving.
Yep.
Divorce, birth, death, relocation, job loss, job gain, moving into a school district, can't afford, like right now, I'll throw a scenario. Hey, can't afford private school anymore. Now we need to move to get an area we can go to public school. Like,
absolutely.
Well, that's a real life situation. And what that is for you to go now, be next to that person and give them the right advice is like, when do they need to sell? Where do they need to move? I mean, where are they going to go? And so real estate agents, like I said, are stewards of good information. And that's what we got to be. And so don't think that those things aren't happening. And, pride can get in the way a lot. We don't want to ask for business, but, it's one thing that I got really good at during that downturn was just saying, hey, hey, could you do me a favor? Just keep me in mind for anyone who's looking for professional service, and leave it at that. Not even the buy or sell, invest in real estate, just like professional help. And that resonates with people because that's how you want to establish yourself as a professional.
And just being that authenticity in that vulnerability. One of the buyer's agents on my team has been on maternity leave, and she posted a video maybe maybe 3 weeks back. It was right at the beginning of all this, of the quarantine. And she basically said, hey, and she had her baby. She didn't have makeup on. She had her baby in her arms. And she's like, hey, I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm back. And you know, I'm here, I want to help. I'm back. I'm here to do business. Y'all just don't forget about me. It was just really this kind of really just authentic, raw video that wasn't anything special, but the business that she picked up from that, because people want to help other people. So I think sometimes we forget that people who know, like, and trust us want us to be able to feed our families too. They want to help us. And, you know, she just brought in a check the other day, which, by the way, none of us knew about. She put a for sale by owner under contract and closed a almost $500,000 home because she put a video out on Facebook with her baby with no makeup on and said, hey, you know, I want to feed my family and I want to help you move. And it was really authentic. And it resonated with a lot of people. So I think it's also an opportunity for us to do that as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's the power of the human connection is just so deep. And I mean, if you're having the conversations, that's the first part, is having the conversations. But the second part totally is what you're talking about, is connecting. And that's connecting. I mean, if you're making lead generation calls and you're picking up the phone, and I had one the other day, and I'll give you an example. And I hate to admit this too, but I had one of my past clients who was not on a follow-up plan, and I was embarrassed when I saw her name, and I was like, crud. I'm going to make this call. And, you know, I had all the same stuff that we probably all do, like nervous in my stomach. I'm like, I haven't talked to her in years. I sold this lady a house. What am I going to say? What is she going to say to me? And I'm like, you know, hey, Jane, Tim, how are you? And she's like, Tim. And I'm like, yeah, we sold you your house back in 2016. How's everything going? Oh, we're good. We're doing good. Thank you for calling. And I'm like, listen, I hear you. It's a challenging time. But what I was wondering is, you know, right now what we're hearing is a lot of people are having, and this went off the cuff. This was just coming out of value. And I was like, okay. What can bring a value to this lady? And I knew she was older. And anyway, and I was like, understand a lot of people are having some troubles with contractors right now, painters, plumbers, electricians, and things like that. And I just want you to know that I've spent years putting together a list of people that I can trust. If you ever need any of that, just call me. And she's like, oh my God, this painter was supposed to come over to my house 3 times. And blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that weird, awkward conversation went into a 20-minute, you know, just, Tim, y'all were so great. If I ain't moving, I'm going to be buried in this house. But if I ever sell, you know, I'm going to call you and I tell my neighbors about you. And I was like, so it went from what could have been a very short, embarrassing, awkward conversation into something that wound up being a very cool, just reconnecting, bringing value. If she needs anything, and I have no doubt that she'll be reaching out for us as a resource. And it's just being there. It's being there to serve. It's being there to help her. It's not about me selling her house. Yet if we're in relationship and she goes to make that move for some reason, I feel confident she'll call me.
You've reconnected with her. And I love that I love that you made the call and that you're willing to admit that you were still nervous to do it because you hadn't kept up with her. You hadn't put her on a drip plan. You didn't know how it was going to go. And again, I think people think that after you've done it for a long period of time or after you've been in the business for a while, nothing ever bothers you. You're never scared. You never have nerves. And that's just not true. I mean, I still get nervous. By the way, I would have been a bundle of nerves too, making that phone call. I've had to make that phone call. By the way, I've had to make that phone call and they say, I'm so sorry. We couldn't remember your name. We just bought a house with da-da-da.
That's a more painful call.
Oh no, it was terrible. And I just took it as such a huge lesson. Like, first of all, I haven't arrived. I have to be in touch with my people and my past clients. But those things that when we talk about them, I hope it gives hope to everybody else on this call that don't think just because we sold over 200 houses last year that it's just always fun and games over here either. We get really nervous too still sometimes.
It does.
We just do it. We just do it scared.
Right. We do. And, you know, I've said, we talked this morning, we're in the people business, right? And so this whole talk of social distancing, I forget who I heard this from the other day. I didn't make this up, so I wish I did. It was good, but it was gold. It was we're physical distancing.
Right.
We're not social distancing. We need to be more social. We need to be social now more than ever. And using social distancing it's a negative connotation to what is actually need to happen right now. We're physically being separated, yet through things like this, Zoom, FaceTime, text, all these other tools, social media, we can be very social. We're just physically apart. As soon as this is over, I'm hugging somebody. Somebody's getting a big hug.
For the love, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so while we're physically separated, we have nothing better. We have no reason not to be talking to people, and it's our job.
Something I'm talking to my team a lot about is what does our morning routines look like?
Yeah.
And the days that I have been successful in this shifting market and in what we're in are the days that I've gotten up, I've had my quiet time, I've gotten dressed, I've put my makeup on, I'm ready to go. I mean, the other day I had a dress on for a listing appointment. I can't remember the last time I had a dress on. Like literally, I felt like I could conquer the world. And that I think that that's also something really important that sometimes we don't talk about enough. Now, guys, if you haven't tried it, you may want to try a dress on. You can conquer the world. I don't know, but I felt like I could conquer the world that day. And then I was like, where else can I go? I can't go anywhere. Is there another listing I can go to? But not stay. The more that we will amp up our morning routines and do our routines, the more that we are going to have a win. And, all of us have different circumstances at home. I mean, Tim, heck, I'm lucky. I've got teenagers. You've got 3 kids under the age of 3. I mean, you've got a house full of babies. And so you may have to take breaks and relieve Taylor because she's trying to work too and take care of your babies. But would you agree that morning routine and getting up and getting into the mindset of work every day is really important?
I haven't missed a day of work since 2010, including during this.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's just a mic drop, Tim. I mean,
Listen, it is the only thing that keeps me sane is my routine. And if you knew my disc, I shun routine, yet I'm disciplined, and maybe I've got the military to thank for that. But I get up, I go shower, I work out, then shower, whatever, depends how the day falls. I'm wearing clothes. I might have on flip-flops, but I got on jeans or something. And I'm talking to my team in the morning. We do a daily huddle. And if you don't have a team, get an accountability partner, somebody that you can just at least say, hey, at 8:30, look, give me some kind of positive. Give me, hey, this is my biggest challenge yesterday. Can you help me? Can I talk through this with you? Like, what would you have done? So it could be your spouse. It could be a peer partner. It could be a team leader. It could be neighbor. I don't care. It could be someone, but you need to work on that mindset. And so I keep, this handy. But then 8:30, I huddle with the team. So we huddle with the team. We're done at 8:45, and then I'm on the phone, and I do that till 11. And whether or not there's kids running around or whatever, I'm still doing it. And is it as perfect as it was? No, but I still do it. And if I didn't do a good enough job, I keep doing it. So I'll move it from 11 to 12.
That's right.
Yeah, and then in the afternoon, I didn't talk to enough people. I'm back on the phone. I'm not on appointments, and so I'm always trying to figure out, how do I keep things moving? How do I improve it? How do I be better? I'm competitive with myself. And so this morning, this was cool. Deborah, me and you talked about this. Like I encourage you to share your calendar with somebody. And so Rita, I see you there, and Ivan, I'm like, y'all are 2 on the top of my screen. So I just picked y'all. But I'm like, hey, let's share our calendars every day. You want to talk about accountability is just share your calendar with somebody and going, okay, I see you're lead generating from 9 to 12, and you've got this from 1 to 2, and then you've got an appointment. At the end of the day, like, hey, how'd you do? Well, I only got 1 hour lead gen in the morning. I am so firm with if you erase, you must replace. Like, listen, it has gotten in the way. I got kids screaming, and I'm like, I didn't do a good job. I have to do more. I have to do more. I have to do more. And so my contacts and my communication with my current clients and my potential clients is non-negotiable for me.
And that's even more important right now. Our current clients, making sure we're touching them. That's really something I've really like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm touching mine enough right now. So that's something I've had to put in place and going, we have to double down on the people that are current clients so that they're not panicking. Hey, Tim, we got a question. Fred from the Alabama Market Center. Hey, Fred. His question is, what scripts are best right now and who is practicing them? So maybe you want to lead that and then I'll follow with you on that.
I'll take that one, Fred. So I think scripts right now that are most useful, and KW has pushed out some recently. If you haven't gotten those, I looked for that email. There were some scripts, but right now it's just, there's one that Shift have been talking about. It's simply like, hey, how are you? I'm just checking in. But if you want to get really dialed in, let me tell you where to find it. Okay. So you go to the old KW, and you could go to KW Connect, and you go to the working with buyer mastery, and you find that big thick album, and in there are scripts, and there are lots of scripts of working with, well, I don't know if now's the time, and there's a lot of scripts just in there around that I think can be applied to what's going on, because there's so there's a lot of sphere scripts in there, not just for sale by owner and other scripts. There's objection handling. And why I say objection handling is, yes, again, it's being that consultant, but if you know what's going on, so if somebody's like, hey, nothing's moving, you have to know your data. So right now I know how many homes have sold in Baton Rouge, how many are pending, and I'm sharing that data. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Actually, showings were up 5% right now from the last 2 weeks. So, we're actually starting to see some signs of some improvement there. And seeing how people feel about that, I'm like, oh. And so I think it's just finding the ones that are most relational and not so much sell. But knowing your data, if you're calling sell by owner, sphere, expires, you have to know what data that you can convey to them. So
I think that's super important, is your data. And then also just remember that it's about the activity, and you're going to get better at these kind of pivot scripts the more that you do them. So I think it's also not beating yourself up if something sounds awkward or it's kind of stilted, or maybe you don't know exactly what to say. Listen, some of my best conversations have come from, you know what, I'm not really sure what that answer is, but I'm going to find out for you and I'm going to get back to you. Or, hey, that's a really great question. Let me think about how to best answer that. I think even more so right now, just that realness is not going to put people off. You may have one or two people that bugs, but the most important thing is just to do it over and over again.
Right. So So I wanted to piggyback, but buyer mastery and seller mastery scripts right now are my favorite.
Are so good, and they're so consistent, which, by the way, these are the ones we should be using. If y'all have ever attended my Win with Buyers class or my Win with Sellers class, these are the scripts that we talk about.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, like these are the ones that I have built my business on. So there you go.
Like forget about that script. There's volumes of them, and you find the ones that are applicable to that situation, and you practice. Just practice.
Listen, the first time, I'll tell y'all this, for sale by owner I ever had to call, I made the person in my life who I don't want to make for sale by owner calls in front of, which was my spouse, who's a licensed agent. I made him call 3 people, 3 for sale by owners, listen to him, then with sweat dripping down my back in front of him, I made my first for sale by owner calls. JD, do you remember that all those years ago?
Yes, I do.
Brand new. I wasn't even full-time in the business. And, it's just doing it scared, practicing them, getting better every time, and your confidence will grow.
Yeah, it's practice on anything. By the way, listen, you can go to KW Connect, and all that information is there. And so if you want to know more about scripts, you can actually go to KW Connect, and you can watch a top agent actually make those calls and see that in action. And that's just part of what it is just to keep practicing. I want to add this little thing. Next week, we're going to do this same call, same time, same place. And we're going to focus on buyers buyer leads and internet leads, where to get them, how to create them. And so that's next week's call. And so just keep it on your deal. I wanted to plug it while we're talking about scripts, because that's going to be part of what we do.
The market's still moving, and I think that's so important to know. Like, we're busy. We are taking listings. I think we're putting up 5 this week. So it's important. And, the ones that are making the decision to do it aren't doing it without a lot of information from us. And
That's right.
So they're looking at you, you need to convey calm, you need to convey data, and let them start to weigh out their options, because every situation is different. Your family's different than mine. Everyone's situation is so different. So there's no, just one for all response to every question. If I could see all these faces on the screen, if each of you asked me the same question regarding real estate, it would be a different answer, in my opinion. So yeah, think about that.
Tim, thanks for sharing that. Listen, we have a quick minute here. Who wants to ask one question of either Deb or Tim, and then we'll try and tie this call off. Anyone have a question for him?
I was just going to suggest that we just role play a call, like what those calls look like to your sphere, Tim. If we could just role play that, so everybody can kind of hear what that conversation's like.
Great suggestion, Logan. Thank you.
You want me to live do it? I'll put somebody on the phone right now.
Or you could do it with me. I'll volunteer to do it. Or you could put somebody on the phone too. It doesn't matter.
I'd probably have to get okay with him. Yeah. All right. So let's go. Ring, ring.
Hey, it's Logan. What's going on, Tim?
Logan, what's up, man? Tim Houck, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I'm just hanging out here, enjoying the weather. Not going anywhere, just quarantining.
Dude, let me tell you this. This is South Louisiana, right? Yeah. I can't remember the last time that we've had a spring. Do you agree?
Yeah, it seems like it goes straight to summer every year.
Dude, I know. It's been incredible. How's the kids?
They're doing well, man. Mama's kind of taking the main role with that, so I'm kind of working in the mornings and trying to stay productive. So it's been interesting, but Mama's kind of taking the front of that, so I'm grateful.
No, man, I know. That's I think this whole thing is organized by the Teachers Coalition. They're going to ask for a pay raise, and they're going to get it.
Yeah, they deserve it for sure.
I know. How's work?
It's going well, man. Aside from everything going on, we're still kind of pivoting and just changing stuff up. But we're moving forward, doing things differently, but we're still moving forward. How about you?
So glad you asked. Man, it's interesting. I think the media would have us really believe that it's things are not happening. I'm gonna be honest. I'm working harder now than I worked before.
Really?
I mean,
so people are still buying?
Dude, when I tell you, like, and I'll share. There are bursts. There's people losing their jobs. There's people relocating, and man, it's insane. It's just like it's still happening, but with the low interest rates and the amount of inventory, there are some pretty good deals on the market right now. We're not showing as many. So I feel like our clients are like having the pick of the litter right now as far as inventory goes. It's we're busy, man. It's nuts. Rates are still in the low 3s. So it's, I don't know. Y'all guys staying put for a while, or what's y'all's situation?
Yeah, actually, I think we're probably going to be making a move in a few months, maybe around the September timeframe. We're just trying to kind of let things stabilize, but we'll probably be making a move here in the next few months.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Let me ask you this. So why are y'all moving during the school year versus, at a different time? What's behind that? Talk to me.
Yeah. Our kids are not in school age yet. They're just going to daycare. So it doesn't have a really huge bearing on us to move, after the rush. So I kind of just wanted to let the summer rush die down and then, maybe buy when it's a little bit slower and not as much competition.
Well, did you we've talked a lot about investing in real estate, but I still look at your primary home. I still look at it as an investment. And you want to know when I think you get the best deals?
When's that?
Fourth quarter, bro. So if you're starting to look, you're starting to look into that third quarter, And, it's like, think about the ones that overpriced and kind of sat out there for a while. They're kind of still sitting on the market. They don't necessarily, they want to be gone by the holidays. It's actually a really good time. I think that'd be a good move. Be a good move for you guys.
Yeah, man, that's actually super advice. Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep that in mind.
No, I'm serious. It's like, and if you're in a non-school driven area currently, you won't be heavily affected by it. So if you're in a non-school driven area, you're going to do well in the sell. And like, you look, since you're doing that move up purchase, you're going to be buying a bigger home, probably at a better deal. It's just, I think it usually works out well. How ready is your house?
Yeah, it's pretty ready to go. Just we have a few little touch-up things to do, but for the most part, probably needs staging. But I think it's pretty ready to go. What do you think the interest rates are going to do, Tim? I mean, I know you said, I know they're low right now, but is waiting to the end of the year? Like, what do you think the interest rates are going to do with all this craziness in the economy?
Man, look, I wish I had a crystal ball. I'll tell you what was supposed to happen, and I can tell you what is happening. So initially we were expected to see 3 rate hikes this year, and what happened was rates wound up going down, which kind of made everybody look like they didn't know what they're doing. But with all this craziness, it's been nuts. I suspect that rates are going to be hovering around the same. So I think, you're going to be good as far as that goes. I mean, it's there's no way I could tell him, but dude, at 3.5, if they're at 3.25 and they get a 3.5, 3.75, it's still insanely low from, that move up perspective. I mean, what my dad's interest rate was in 1982?
Probably 10%.
16%, bro.
Oh,
16.
man.
Yeah. So coming from relativity, people get caught up on the rate. I'm more caught up on how good of a deal can we get? Can we get you in the right house? It's all about that. So it's all about net money. And so people will get quabbled up over half an interest rate and, pass up a really good deal, trying to predict that stuff. So just let your situation play out. If September is right for you, go for it. If it's October, November, whatever falls. But I do want to come by and take a look at things, because here's what could happen. If you guys are pinning the move and you're saying September, the house you want, and although unlikely, the house you want, you don't know how many times someone's called me and said, dude, this house, I have to have it. And their house is nowhere near ready. So what I'm going to suggest is let me come by in the next couple of weeks, make sure that you're on the same page. We're on the same page as far as readiness. So in the event it pops up, you could throw your house on the market. I just saw it last week with a family who said they were staying put. They're moving to North Carolina now. Shot me an email on Easter, throw it on the market tomorrow. But you know why? We've been working together for a long time. And so Lisa, and it makes the whole thing a whole lot less stressful come September. Man, I know you got kids, work, and who knows how long this is going to drag on. Contractors aren't working right now as much, so it may take longer to get the work done. So if you don't mind, I can come by in a couple weeks after work, and we'll just come through. I'll leave you with a list, and that way y'all can start digesting it from now until whenever. Yeah,
that sounds good, man. You just want to give me a call in a couple weeks. We can set something up, and you can come by and, let us know what we need to do.
Awesome. Well, look, man, tell your wife I said hello. I'll shoot you a text when I get back in front of my calendar, and that way we can compare, and then I'll stop by. I'll see you. Appreciate you.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much, Tim.
So it's awesome how calm and how conversational Tim is.
Conversational. Yep.
I mean, just hey, dude, hey, brah. He's just making it real.
So yeah, all the agents everybody knows my lead gen is that. That is what I do. That's it. That's what I do.
And that's a conversation that Tim had, but there were scripts in there. And I think that's important to remember is Tim was still saying scripts. He's just done them so many times that it feels like a talk with your best friend. But there were 2 really important pivotal transitions he made in that conversation. So I don't know if y'all picked up on them, but the first one was after hey, how's the kids? What's happening? How's your work? And then he let the person on the other end saying, well, wait, how's your work? Which, by the way, was not a coincidence that Tim said, hey, how's your work going? Because he knew he would ask him the same question back Then he was able to insert real estate.
Okay.
By the way, that's a script, guys. That's a script. So that's how Tim stayed in control of the conversation, but Logan thought he was driving the conversation. Remember, whoever asked the questions is in charge. Then he pivoted again when Logan said, hey, a couple months. He talked, he said, okay, that's cool. Gave him some information, then circled back around and said, he didn't ask, he told Logan, what I would like to do is come by, and here's why. That's also a script. He's done it so much, it just sounds like a conversation. So please don't think that wasn't scripted. It absolutely was scripted, and it was very on point. And two very pivotal moments, and Tim got an appointment or a follow-up for an appointment, because what Tim also knows is probably Logan isn't moving in September. He might be moving sooner. If he's thinking about it that much, he may be moving sooner. Now he may not, but Tim wants to stay out in front of that. Is all that fair, Tim, for me to say?
Yeah.
It's all very fair. And the reality is you're so right on that, but people are so afraid to be sold to. They think as soon as they tell you they're moving, you're like,
Right. That's right. And you didn't do that. You just stayed in conversation and then circled back around later.
well, what happens is too, is like I just gave you the example of that C buyer who moved back to an A like that, knowing that Logan, the house could pop up and he could lose it. And I've seen this. I've seen people lose deals because they were not ready. So from a real sense of, yes, it was a script. And I was also coming from contribution, knowing that the best thing that I can do is have him have his house ready, or at least a list of things to do in the event something popped up that he really, really wanted. And he can have the head start on that whole. He's like, okay, got your list, dude. I'm knocking this out. I mean, the one I'm listing today, was the same thing. It was the dude had the list. They jumped on it, and I mean,
Yeah, that was actually, Tim, that was a great use of little implanted FOMO there. I know that was intentional, but that works. So, hey, listen, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we're coming to the end of our hour. And I got to thank Deb and Tim. What a great call. You guys are outstanding. And wow, a lot of value there. Super appreciated, Tim. Thanks for giving us an hour of your time. Deb, you're outstanding on Zoom all the time. A special thanks to Lance and the crew for putting this deal together.
yeah, thank you.
Always count on Money Man to make things happen. Tune in next week, 1 o'clock. We're going to look at the buyer side and figure out where the buyers are, how we're going to get them, how we can create leads for them. So thanks again. I think Lance is going to make this recording available if you want to go back and listen again. Deb, Tim, thank y'all very much. Excellent job.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a great day, and remember to play it safe.
Bye, guys.